Welcome back to the Unusual Grace channel. It is always a pleasure to see you. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you will be informed or notified whenever there is a new upload. Today, I am doing things just a little bit differently. I want to introduce you to a channel, the ministry of a couple out of the continent of Africa that I have recently subscribed to. I love their work. They are called the Winlows, and I want to give them credit for this skit. What they do are compilations. Well, they do short skits and they do plays, and I think they have done at least one movie that is doing very, very well. But they are Christians, and when I saw this particular skit, I thought that the message here was so rich and relevant for especially now when persons are seeking, singles are looking to get married. And, when you are a Christian and a single woman, it is even the more challenging because of what, is going on in the world today. And I won't get too deep into that. Needless to say, I want you to stay tuned because I'm going to tell you about this play and we're going to look at some of the lessons that we can learn from it. And I won't show you all of it. I'll give you like a little snippet and I encourage you to jump over there. I could probably put the link to the play in the description so that you can click right on it. Stay tuned. I hope you will like this one. So the story is told of a young lady named Josephine. The skit opens with two men sitting in a living room. These are apparently two church brothers, one who would have been a member of the church for a longer time than the other. They're both having a conversation about how challenging it is. At least one of the young men would have been expressing to the other that it is very challenging to woo, to crack this young lady named Josephine in the church. And he said she is so difficult. He says the other ladies, they're okay. But for him, this one young lady, and he says he even joined the prayer ministry for this young lady, and she just cannot be cracked. She cannot be wooed. I suppose that they're trying to go a little further with her than her Christian conviction would allow or would permit. So, of course, this other young man says, and his name is really Kunle, but he says that, he's a professor. He's a professional at this. He's a knifer. And he says, give him 2 weeks and he will have Josephine crawling on her knees and totally in love with him, and he would sleep with her and all of that. And the other young man said, "No, man, no, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna." So they made a deal, right? They made a deal, and the deal involved some money. That if he were to do this, then he will be paid, and so on. And then the next scene, I wanted to take a look at what happened.
Josephine, you just started dating this guy 2 months ago. He's new in church. He just joined church. Besides, the policy for church wedding is that you undergo a premarital counseling class, which just for 2 months and you're done. So why the rush? Why are you rushing your wedding?
Ma, there'll be no need for the premarital class, honestly.
Seriously?
Yes. I mean, what's the essence of dating for too long when I have peace in my heart? I feel like this match is made from heaven.
Really?
Honestly. Do you know that? His name is Joseph. My name is Josephine. What a match. To top it all, his birth date is same as mine, 3rd of October. What other confirmation do I need? We just want to do a very small traditional wedding in my village, and that's it. There's no need for
all this stress. Her sentiments, believe it or not, reflect the mindset of many Christian ladies today, especially in this era when we have what is called romance scam. Because nowadays we have people who are going online for dating options, and they meet sometimes these women, single women who are looking for love, meet men who will make up things just to connect or to have some appearance of connection with the woman that they're trying to woo. So they will tell you similar birthdays, and usually the women are volunteering the information first, and then they will make up theirs based on what they are told. And sometimes, of course, there's a profile, so they can do it from the profile as well. But Josephine, here in that little clip there, she met with her pastor, and you heard her. She says it's a match made in heaven. They have similar names, they have similar birthdays, and so on. Remember, I told you his name was Kunle? Right. But she didn't think that the premarital counseling was necessary. And this is where we need to get this lesson together. It doesn't matter how connected or how similar the information, it does not mean that you are compatible for each other. Premarital counseling is still very important, and I speak to you as a pastor. You need premarital counseling. As a matter of fact, the experts, including Focus on the Family, which some of you might know, what they are now recommending is pre-engagement counseling. So what they're saying is, if you are seriously dating someone, if two people are seriously dating each other with a view of marriage, before you even get engaged, get some counseling. Why this recommendation? Because according to Focus on the Family, they have recognized over the years that when two people are already engaged, usually the church has already been booked, the invitations have already been sent out, announcements have already been made, they are totally invested in the thing. And because of this heavy investment, it becomes more challenging to openly confront some of the issues that might be present. So there is some level of masking that goes on because, hey, we've invested all of this money and time already in each other and into the wedding ceremony that is to come up. So full speed ahead, doesn't matter what. So when they come to the counseling, they're not as open, usually, not all the time, but they're not as open. This is what they're saying that they have found over the years. But when two people are not yet engaged, but they're seriously into each other, they're dating and considering it, they're more open and relaxed to look at some of the issues and deal with them and then decide whether, and of course, clearly, you're going to engage in pre-engagement counseling, you need to decide that you will invest time and money. Better to spend that money to do that and determine if the relationship is marriage material and you part ways if it is not, than to go ahead with the marriage and then end up with a very rough marriage or one that ends in divorce. So premarital counseling, my friends, is very important. Not just in case you might be wondering if I have any scripture to engage in this conversation. It depends on the approach that you take it from. Let us look at Titus chapter 2 and we'll read the first 6 verses. You, however, must teach what is appropriate to sound doctrine. Teach the older men to be temperate, worthy of respect, self-controlled, and sound in faith, in love, and in endurance. Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. Then they can urge the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled and pure, to be busy at home, to be kind, and to be subject to their husbands, so that no one will malign the word of God. Similarly, encourage the young men to be self-controlled. Now, just in case you are wondering, what does that have to do with the topic that we're now on? Well, Titus there is making clear that one generation must teach the other generation. And therefore, when it comes on to investing in a marriage or seeking to be married, the premarital counseling becomes very important because it includes teaching and training of what marriage should be and what it is about from a biblical perspective. God is the one who created and instituted marriage. So within the context of the church, this is something that the church has a responsibility in as part of its counseling to ensure that a couple knows what they are going into and what is expected of them. Because at the end of the day, when they get it right, they must pass it on to the next generation and so on. Let us now see one more clip from this wonderful play to see how it panned out.
Joseph, please.
Come on. See, let's just do this thing. It's not sex. Why are you doing as if I have COVID?
Are you serious? You and I agreed we won't do this until marriage. Stop.
I know, but my family is seriously pressuring me. See, let me tell you, I've never done this with any other lady before.
Really?
Yes, you're my first. And if you don't get pregnant, we can't get married. For my family, you have to, because my mom went through a lot. You understand? So she's not even going to allow us get married. If you don't get pregnant before our wedding, this is just a minor thing.
Joseph, please, I can't. I can't. I'm a leader in church.
See, no one has to know.
God knows,
Oh,
and he'll be
boy.
disappointed in me. I've always stood for purity. I'm a virgin, Joseph. I can't do this.
See, no one has to know. Who is counting? Even me, I told you I'm a virgin. See, all we just have to do, you know I love you, right? And that is what matters. See, all you just have to do is get pregnant. In less than a month, we get married. Nobody will trace. It will be a secret between both of us. You understand? This thing is not as difficult as you are making it. See, everybody does these things. Just that they don't say it out. You have to trust me. You trust me, right?
I do.
Have you not seen the signs?
I've seen it.
Are you not convinced too?
I am.
Come on now, this thing is small. You don't have to be scared. You know I'm a gentleman, right? Just relax.
Do you see the signs? Now, one of the things I wanted to realize here, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. So after Josephine met with her pastor and pretty much said she didn't think that premarital counseling was necessary, here it is that her fiance, so-called, is now trying to seduce her. And what he said was, one, his family is pressuring him that they will not approve of him getting married to her unless she gets pregnant first. She is a virgin. He lies about being a virgin. And she eventually, because she's now emotionally invested and involved, and in her mind, the marriage is going to happen. So let's work with this. And she eventually, you're going to have to watch it to see how it ends. But look, what is the lesson here? Maintain your Christian values. Set boundaries for yourself and do not compromise them if compromise is going to cause you to sin, then do not compromise. So you have sinful compromise. You have compromise that is just wisdom, because that different context, right? But you have compromise that leads to sin, and that the compromise itself is sin. Set standards for yourself. If it is wrong, it is wrong. It doesn't matter how much love you might feel or anything like that, because at the end of the day, and she was right. She said, God knows. And right there, that should have been a red flag for her, but she didn't. And so many Christians get caught in this way. It's not worth it at the end of the day if you are going to sin just to hold on to something that you want to hold on to, because at the end of the day, that thing you are holding on to might very well leave you out in the cold, or they might still be there, but the quality of the relationship might not be as you expected because you compromise at the very core and foundation. If he wanted her to get pregnant, he could have just married her, speed up the wedding, or something like that, right? But then she went ahead and she did that. The top reasons, and this is, as you can see, a study that was done in Denmark in 2019, which is not very long ago. The top reasons for divorce in that nation: lack of love and intimacy, communication problems, lack of sympathy, trust, and respect. And believe me, when there is compromise between the Christians before the marriage, it usually leads down the road to a lack of respect for one or both parties in the marriage, growing apart because of different interests and activity. Those are the top reasons for divorce in Denmark. The top reasons for divorce in the United States: lack of commitment, constant arguing or conflict, infidelity, marrying too young, unrealistic expectations about partner or marriage. That is a very important one, which is why the premarital counseling is so useful. Inequality between partners, inadequate preparation for marriage, domestic violence, financial problems, conflict about domestic work, lack of family support, religious differences, and you can pretty much just call that unequally yoked. Now, according to marriage.com, the top 10 reasons why a couple divorces: infidelity is number one. Then we have finances is the second one. And I'm just going through them very quickly. Communication, and I want to take note of that. Constant arguing. That's the next one. Weight gain. Wow. Unrealistic expectations. Lack of intimacy. Lack of equality. Not being prepared for marriage. Physical and emotional abuse. And then finally, I want us to look at problems, the common problems in marriage. And number one is, and this is not the cause for divorce that we're looking at, just problems. Number one is money. Number two is intimacy. 3, bad habits, infidelity, and this is according to Kentucky Counseling Center. Infidelity, fertility issues, abuse. And I think they have 6 of them right there. So the point is, my friends, with all of those challenges that marriage has potentially, you may have a very good foundation, you are connected to each other and you feel like you can conquer the world, but it is wise to seek all the help you can get prior to getting married and even while you are married, so that you can be equipped for when the challenges come. Some of the things that you have to continuously be intentional about, whether you feel like it or not, is communication. And when you do the premarital counseling, the beliefs about finances, the individual beliefs about finances, beliefs about how to raise children, beliefs about how you handle in-laws and all of that. There are so many different things that can cause problems, conflict, challenges, including intimacy as well. And it's good to get that conversation out there in the open, be honest, open, and clear about that. And most of all, be prayerful as you pursue.
Josephine, listen. Just because you have similar names, similar birth dates, similar favorite foods, or whatever be it is, other similarities you have, sometimes, if not most times, similarity does not equate suitability.
I understand your concern, but everything's under control. You don't need to worry.
Well, it has been interesting, wouldn't you say? I want to just encourage you to visit the credit again to the Winlows for this great play. And just to, when I saw it, I said, yes, somebody needs to be reminded that if you are seriously dating, if you are engaged, and you are within the context of the church, even outside of that, please consider getting some counseling just to strengthen and minimize the possibility, to strengthen your relationship with each other and to minimize the possibility of divorce later on. And in some cases, it might mean let us part ways because apparently this might not, our relationship might not be marriage material after all. And if you are married and watching this broadcast, this video presentation, I want to encourage you to love your spouse, love your spouse, love your spouse. If your marriage is on the rocks in any way at all, well, I want to invite you to get help. Get some people to be praying about that. Do whatever you can to fight for the improvement of and the saving of your relationship. There is a subscription that you can check out. It's called Awesome Marriage, and it is by Dr. Kim Kimberling. I recommend that to you. He has a one thing email, one thing that you can get the one thing via text, one thing that you can do every day to spice up the relationship, to keep the interest going, to keep the intimacy, to provoke the communication and so on. It's really, really helpful. And I invite you to check that out. Check out that resource. I think you will find it quite, and he has a number of books as well, over 30 years as a counseling psychologist, with marriages and so on. Excellent resource. Focus on the Family is another resource. Invest in your marriage. Marriage is intended to honor God and to reflect Jesus Christ's relationship with the church. So I pray that yours will be just that. Until next time, always remember that God speaks.